And it was, and it was, you know, like, when we came here, there was this presentation, and he had to cut the cake. So I looked at him, and I saw him, like, you know, like, playing with his iPhone. Right away, at that moment, you know, like, while he was cutting the cake. I went home, I checked his Twitter account, and there was the cake photo with his, you know, like, with his tweet. I just cut the huge cake in, you know, like in Tbilisi, like to celebrate opening of the Swedish embassy or something like this. So actually, it was him doing the same what journalists had to do. You know, like, okay, I would report if I was doing news that, okay, they cut a big cake, but now Carl Bildt is doing this job for the journalist. He is himself reporting what he's doing. So that's a very strange situation. Carl Bildt also was the one, I'm bringing this guy's example because he's a good example actually, was the one, because I mean for the politicians, every politician is using Facebook now, almost everybody, to communicate with public. Sometimes they are doing it in person, sometimes it's their press office who is doing that. But I mean, there are very rare occasions when political leaders are contacting each other through Twitter. So this is what he did. He was looking for his counterpart of Bahrain, apparently for like several hours. He couldn't find him, he couldn't reach him, and he posted on his Twitter, "Hey, I'm looking for you. I have thing to discuss." So it was a strange thing. It was reported in media. Everybody was writing about it because, well, this is an open page, and apparently, like Bahrain's foreign minister is a big guy, a heavyweight guy. So people started joking there that, okay, wait, Carl, you know, he's going to finish eating and he's going to join you. So that was a bizarre situation because in diplomatic affairs, there is a huge staff controlling the relations. You know, there is a protocol, there is your, you know, like assistants, there are speech writers. I don't know, like the whole machine. While when you're on Twitter, there are just two of you, and plenty of other people who may post whatever, and who may give whatever explanation they want, and there is no distance. Because you see it there, you see it happening there, and for the politician, sometimes it's a bit, you know, like, could be a bit difficult to abstain and not to rush into debates, and so on and so forth. So that's a strange situation that's created for the politicians. So this is why I think that on one hand for politicians, like the social networks is a tool to interact with the audience and to gain support. This is very important. I remember in 2004 when actually on the election day when Saakashvili's presidential elections were taking place, I met him and we were chatting, and he said, I mean, and it was obvious, nobody was worried, and it was 2004 and we knew that he would get like about, I don't know, 90% of votes or something like this. So I was chatting with him, he told me, you know, Tamara, I have a feeling I've shaken hands of every second voter who's going to vote for me now. You know, so I remember that because this way he wanted to express how important it is to communicate with your voters, and like he was going and like everywhere he was shaking hands of everybody, hugging everybody, and we all remember that. And now, I mean, there is a social media to do that. Of course, it's not going to replace actual physical contact, and I think it's not going to replace physical contact for a long time, but still, it's a forum. But on the other hand, it's a challenge. It's a challenge for them they have to be afraid of, because it makes them, politicians, way much more exposed to the public that has to. So to strike a balance is a kind of a difficult thing, and I don't think that anybody, I mean, even in Western world, like where the internet is much more common than like it was here, or it still is, or in the country, in your countries, or anywhere else. Like I don't know if they have figured out exactly how to behave, like the politicians. There is no protocol yet in place, and I think we are in the process, and we're going to pretty much. We're going to witness how the things will change, like in the behavior of the politicians. I have a strong feeling that we're going to have a protocol for the politicians as well to behave on Facebook. It's clear that internet is about interactivity and conversation, for now. And social media became popular in Georgia as well. In Georgia, like there are about 800 Facebook users. I mean, I would take 800,000. And in a 4.6 million country, it's almost 1/5. But it doesn't mean that like Facebook could be used. Facebook alone can be used as a tool because like polls show that as a political tool. Because polls show that only 1% of Georgian population, not even 1% of Georgian population, it's a National Democratic Institute poll, is talking about politics. I am active and I'm always talking about politics on Facebook. And for me and for the guys like me, you know, like this kind of result that not even 1% is talking about discussing politics on Facebook is a weird feeling. But you know, like it's also but it's also like it wakes you up in a way, because I mean you interact with people there, like I don't know, like 1,000 people, maybe 1,500, even 3,000, 5,000, and you think that all of them are, you know, like, you know, and the whole world is talking about politics and Facebook. That's not it, you know, like this is a small community, you all know each other, and it means nothing when you're talking about 4.6 million. But there is another thing, you know, like, and of course, like how effective the social network and communication through social network will be depends on the internet penetration as well. I mean, for instance, like in Georgia, internet penetration went up to 30%, like in recent years. But I remember the time when it was 0.5%, like it was the year of 2000, and I remember 2007, I was working for the Council of Europe by then, and we were pushing the government, like lobbying for the government to sign and ratify Council of Europe Convention on Cybercrime. I remember our counterparts, like local counterparts here in Georgia, were telling us, well, you know, like, we are just doing it to be nice to you, you know, like, because it's not important for us because, like, internet penetration is only 5%. Like, in a couple of months, like, the war started with Russia, and they realized that, I mean, cybersecurity is important because state institutions were attacked by hackers. And no matter whether it's 1% or 5% penetration, when the state institution is attacked, it's a problem. Funny stories like related to our politicians. For instance, if you open the Facebook web pages of some of our ministers, all you see there are like clear robots, you know, like, you know, because everything they do is adored, you know, like is adored by their fans. Okay, thanks God that we have such minister, and like, you know, okay, do things like that, continue the same way, you know, and they think that this is going to bring some sort of result. It's not going to bring any result because it's about interaction and it's about quality of interaction. It's not about people praising you or something like that. And it's about personal contact, how much you are engaged with your followers, and not about some sort of, you know, like bunch of people who like everything you will do. So this is one thing. And the second thing is, like, they went crazy about the number of likes, you know, like on their front pages or something like this. We had a very funny story with the major opposition politician when, you know, like, we could check, like, his, I don't know, like, the people who liked him, he had about 80,000 likes or something like this, and within 10 hours, or, you know, I don't remember exactly the time, it went up to like 220,000, you know? And it was clear for everybody who is active on Facebook that, okay, this is a fake, there is a fake operation taking place, you know? So all of us started, yeah, of course, you can buy for $400 10,000 likes, you know? So, but if there is, you know, this is how market works, you know, like if there is a demand on likes, and when politicians woke up and realized that there is a social media, there was a demand on likes, so somebody created the market for it. You know, like somebody started selling likes. So that's easy, of course it's gonna happen. And so our local politicians, like, you know, it went up. And it was funny because, like, when we laughed and when we humiliated the guy, like, for that, you know, like, they issued a statement saying that government hackers were stopping the likes, you know, like their likes, and their IT specialists sorted the situation out, so it exploded like that, and that's why they are getting, as if it's like Facebook is some sort of tube that you can, like close or, So that was the whole thing. So that explains how immature, our politicians are, for the time being, like in applying their, sort of social networking skills to their, work. There are some who have some personal conversations, there or something like this. But in terms of politics, it hasn't brought to them any sort of gains yet. But there is another thing. It's a powerful tool. Why I said that. No matter how big is internet penetration, like in the United States, it's about 8% or something like this. And the effect, the influence of social networks is not even near of that of traditional media and that of the television. Even in the United States, if you read the opinions of experts, those who are working on the campaigns of Barack Obama or Mitt Romney, they say that it's television that's important. But social network can generate actually the information, can generate the news that is going to be picked up by television. So this is why to be active on social network is important. You have to create the news, you have to create the information there. By creating news, I don't mean imagining the news. I mean creating the news. So that will appear on the television station. So pretty soon, they're talking about television starting to, play the role of a pipeline or something like this. So that's the whole thing. So you politicians have to be careful. On one thing, it's a challenge. It could be a threat actually, because if you're not careful about what you are posting on Facebook, you may end up like American congressman, who was exchanging with a woman his sexually explicit photos, and then he had to resign. This is one thing. The second thing, not to believe that if you have 500,000 likes, they're going to rush and vote for you, at the ballot box, because that's not it. Sometimes I am putting likes to certain politicians to be able to access their page, and not because I like them or something. I just want to participate. Sometimes their pages are blocked, And another important thing is the quality of the engagement. If your posts are not followed by interesting debate, and interesting debate means critical comments as well, and allowing critical comments to appear on your wall, then it doesn't mean anything, because this way you can have a poster and look at the poster, because if nothing is interesting takes place and all you hear is okay, I like you, you are great, you're super, and we would like to have you forever as a minister, no interesting people will go and visit their pages. So that's the whole thing. So this is shortly what I wanted to say. This is a huge topic. That's why I try to concentrate on the politicians, because elections are coming. But I would prefer that during question and answer, I prefer interactive conversations. So if you have any questions, I prefer to receive them after than continue and talk a lot like now. Yeah.
Great. So I'm going to ask one question of my own quickly, and then the floor is open to the audience. I just want to ask members of the panel about lying on social media. And it's a theme that all of you have brought up, how politicians lie, how governments lie. And it seems to me that in the beginning, the people learned how to use this tool, especially in Egypt and Tunisia. It was a tool that helped facilitate revolutions, and the politicians were behind. They hadn't quite learned how to use this, and they hadn't quite understood how to use this, but now they have, whether it's in Tunisia or Georgia. And so what's happening now, it sounds like, is that the governments are fighting back using the same tools that were once used against them, and in some cases they're explicitly spreading lies and propaganda. And so my question to all of you is how do the original users of this, how do the revolutionaries and the activists fight back against powerful institutions and governments that are now using social media to spread propaganda and lies about them. So I'll start with Asma because I know she wanted to answer. So